Talofa, great to talk to you.
It's very good to have you on the program today, Mr. Hipkins. Now, I see you're not in your suit and tie. What's your Friday like?
This Friday's actually been very civilized. It's been a very, very busy week. I've been backwards and forwards from Auckland this week, and so today I'm at home. I finally get a chance to do my laundry, and balancing that between doing some policy reading and work and a variety of interviews that I'm doing from home today. So it's a little more casual today.
Well, thank you very much for giving us your time this afternoon. We were hoping to have you earlier on, but you're a busy man. But it's always good to have you on the program.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience as well.
All right. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty now. You said New Zealand's economy isn't in good shape. What would Labour do differently to fix it this time?
I've said that our priorities as a Labour government will be jobs, health, homes, and re-election on the cost of living. And jobs is number one because if we want to have a higher standard of living as a country, we've got to get people back to work. Pacifica unemployment under this government has pretty much doubled, and that means there's a lot less opportunity for all those people who don't currently have work. So if we want to turn that around, we've got to get people back to work.
Now, how would you get extra jobs available?
Well, we've got to get people investing in the productive economy. At the moment, a lot of investment in New Zealand goes into residential houses, and the result of that is that people can't afford to buy houses anymore because they're being forced out of the housing market by property speculators and landlords. We've got to get that money being invested in productive businesses that create jobs. We've got to support our industries that are currently going broke. High electricity prices is something that the government can do something about. High electricity prices are forcing a lot of businesses out of business and resulting in a lot of job losses. So I think there's some bold action required by the government. I don't think it's revolutionary action. I think it's bold but sensible that will deal with high power prices. It will deal with the businesses that are going under. It will deal with the over-reliance on the housing market. I think if we start to tackle those things, we can turn this economy around.
Now, aren't we in the highest unemployment rate at the moment?
We've seen a big increase in unemployment since this government took office. Pacifica unemployment has doubled. And if you look at areas like construction, 20,000 people in construction have lost their jobs since the election.
Wow.
And we know that in terms of Pacifica employment, construction is one of the big areas where Pacifica people work in New Zealand. So
Yes.
that will have disproportionately affected our Pacific community.
And it's really, really sad. So people, what's your take? Are people back on the benefit or are people leaving New Zealand because of this?
We've seen record numbers of people leaving the country. Many of them are going to Australia because they can get work in Australia. So take those 20,000 construction workers. A lot of them would have just gotten on a plane, gone to Australia where there's huge infrastructure being built. There's a lot of houses being built. And they could have gotten off the plane and gotten a job that same day. And that's meaning that a lot of people are just giving up and leaving. And that's a tragedy for New Zealand because when we do start to build again, we're not going to have the workers that we need to do that work. So we've got to get this moving quickly. Otherwise, we're just going to lose more and more people.
Absolutely. Well, what are Labour's main plans to help people with the cost of living?
We want to tackle the things that are currently holding New Zealand back. Healthcare is too expensive. It's too hard for people to go and see the doctor, and we want to do something about that. Power prices are going up in a way that is unsustainable, and more action from government can tackle that, and we can bring down power prices. We need to see more competition in the grocery sector. Supermarkets are making huge profits, and New Zealanders are struggling to pay for what's in their groceries, in their grocery baskets. We can take action on all of those issues to help tackle the cost of living. It might not bring prices down in some areas, but it can stop them rising in the way that they have been so that people can catch up.
Thank you for that, Mr. Hipkins. Now, you raised some concerns about political donations. What changes would Labour make to make things more transparent?
Oh, well, I think we've got to stop the smaller parties like David Seymour and Winston Peters calling all the shots. Not many New Zealanders voted for them compared to the people who voted for National and Labour.
Mm.
And yet Christopher Luxon, as our Prime Minister, is letting Winston Peters and David Seymour call all the shots. And I think that's wrong. David Seymour's very divisive agenda on race relations, I think, is taking our country back by several generations.
Mm.
And it's time to bring a stop to that. Government needs to bring the country together and lead the country forward, not allow for the sort of divisive policies that this government are promoting.
Now, how can we rectify this?
Well, there's going to be a bit of work to do to bring people back together again after this government, and I'm going to make that a focus. We all have an interest in a growing economy where everyone can get work, where everyone can buy their own home or at least have secure rental accommodation, where everyone can get the healthcare they need, and where the cost of living is actually under control. We've all got an interest in those things. They can be the things that bring us together. I don't want to engage in all the divisive debates and the identity politics and culture wars that Winston Peters and David Seymour seem so keen to promote.
Mm.
And I won't allow that in a government that I lead.
Now, do you see a different Winston Peters from the time that he was working with Labour back in the day?
Well, Winston Peters had his moments working for us too. He wasn't the easiest person to work with, but I definitely think he's become a lot more polarizing in recent times. His war on woke, as he calls it, has just created division within New Zealand, and I don't think that that's the Kiwi way. I think the New Zealand way is that we respect each other, we allow each other just to get on with our lives. We don't form judgments about each other in that way, and I hope we can get back to that.
Thank you for that. Now, do you think the national government, like you mentioned before with Winston and David Seymour, are they being honest with our country at the moment?
They're certainly not being honest about the nature of the challenges we face as a country.
Mm.
They're trying to say, oh, look, it was all just Labour's fault. Well, I think New Zealanders have seen in the last couple of years that it wasn't. That the challenges that we've got are going to require some bigger, bolder thinking than this government seemed to be willing to offer. We've got to really tackle monopolies. We've got monopolies now hiking up power prices, hiking up food prices, insurances, banking, you name it. We've sort of trended towards having big monopolies controlling the economy. That's not good for New Zealanders, and it's going to require some bold leadership by government to turn that around.
And you reckon Labour will do a good job in the next coming election?
We've been doing a lot of policy work because I want to know that when I announce something, we've done our homework properly and we're going to get it right. I don't want to make promises unless I know that I can deliver on them.
Mm. Now, how is Labour planning to win back support for the next election, especially with the younger voters?
I've been really encouraged by the support we've seen since the last election. We got about somewhere between 26 and 27% at the last election. That was really, really disappointing for us.
Mm.
But since then, we've seen our support grow back to about 35, and most of the polling has us around that 35 mark now. If we can continue with that momentum, then we should be up around 40, I hope, by the time the election campaign rolls around. That's my goal. And the way that we're doing that is the on the ground work, reconnecting with communities and listening to people, and reassuring them that, we're in this for them, not for ourselves. And, we want to make sure that we're providing a country where everyone has opportunity, not just those who are amongst the privileged few.
That's right. Now, you've made some changes in your Labour team. How are things going on in the party?
The party is in great shape. I've got an amazing and very, very talented lineup of MPs. We have Carmel Sepuloni, who is our first Pacifica Deputy Prime Minister. She's the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party and is doing an outstanding job, particularly in Auckland, where she's on the ground every day doing the hard work. Barbara Edmonds, who I want to make our first Pacifica Minister of Finance, she understands that job better than anyone else in Parliament.
Mm.
And I think she will just be amazing. And then we've got a really talented lineup of people getting ready to tackle the challenges that the country faces. And we know that we've got to offer more than just slogans. This government got elected just with slogans. We know we need to have answers.
Now, with the elections coming up very, very soon, what is your message to all the Samoa, the Pacific people out there? What will Labour do differently this time round?
My first message is your vote really matters. We had a lower turnout amongst our Pacifica community at the last election compared to previous elections, and that really did make a difference. It meant that we now have the government that we have now. So your vote can make a difference. Labor is in this for our Pacifica communities, as we always have been. We celebrate the diversity of New Zealand. We celebrate our very special relationship with the Pacific, and we want to create a country where everybody has access to opportunity. Everybody gets a good, well-paid job. I know how hard some of our Pacific community have been working. There are stats out today that show that a lot of New Zealanders are working more than one job, and our Pacific community would be very highly represented in that group. I want it so that people who are working hard don't have to work quite so hard and can still enjoy a really good quality life in New Zealand. And that goes for our Pacifica community as with all of our others as well.
Now, just one quick question before we wrap it up. Would you raise the retirement age to 70 something like we've seen in the news recently?
No, because it would be very unfair. We know that a lot of our Pacifica community, Maori community, and those who do manual labouring jobs for a living don't live as long as others. And so it would be very, very unfair on them to say that they've got to wait longer for retirement, because some of them will never enjoy retirement if we do that.
Honourable Chris Hipkins, very, very good to have you on the program this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully the sun will stay the same in Wellington, not as rainy and dark as it is in Auckland this afternoon.
Yeah, well, good as gold. It's lovely to talk to you too, and I hope we can do this more often.
Absolutely. Pleasure having you on the program, and we wish you all the best for this weekend and throughout the year.
Thanks very much. Great to talk to you.